Today, I rank every YouTuber podcast. Here is the list. We've got some new ones and we've got some YouTube classics. This will make you hate me, so please be nice in the comments. Now let's start with the Misfits podcast. This is a podcast that is no longer, a lot went down with the Misfits is all I'll say, and it's disbanded. When that podcast first came out, I was on it like crack, and I shouldn't have been on it like crack because I was like 14 and they were just talking about cocaine.
Do you have any drug stories?
I've smoked weed. I've done DMT. I did shrooms when I was really young.
Shrooms?
And I've done a lot of coke. I'm pretty good with coke. It was awesome. I got fucking blasted. I got to this party already blasted. I'm still alive. Who wants to try it? Remember that night I had Adderall, edibles.
That's really
I was smoking weed.
bad,
I'd been drinking. I'd done coke.
They really like drugs, the Misfits do, and a lot of their podcasts were just talking about different drugs they've done. Then they signed a deal with Spotify and they had to make a podcast every week for over a year, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it was during COVID and they just had nothing to talk about. So it was probably some of the worst and most boring content I've ever seen, to be honest. But when their deal ended, they stopped the podcast, had a massive break, then came back 2 years later with some good episodes, with good production, good sets. And then their company collapsed and they disbanded. So I'm gonna give this one a B because when it's good, it's elite, but a lot of it isn't good. The Views podcast with David Dobrik. Now this is definitely a throwback because this podcast has been gone for many years now. And what can I say? I was a massive fan of this podcast as well. It was great at the time. I was a massive Dobriker. Not anymore. I'm reformed from that. But I love the Dobrik, and honestly, pretty good podcast. I can't in good conscience put it beside the Misfits though, so it's gonna have to go D. But listen, that was a good podcast because like he was making these insane videos every 2 days and you'd get the behind the scenes on the video on the podcast, and it worked out really well. Now I just need to talk about my passion for a minute here, and it's my passion is the Baited podcast. I'm a Baited podcast historian. This was a podcast with Keemstar, Tommy C, Colossal Crazy, and then when he left, Anything for Viewers took his spot for a while, then he came back. But man, this podcast is the best podcast of all time. It was just them screaming at each other for an hour straight, and it's the best content that ever contented, I swear.
That's not what I did at all. How dare you? What I said, how dare you? I didn't say that at all. I insinuated that he got fired because he's a vicious person. How dare you? I never mentioned or insinuated molestation once.
Insinuating.
Once. I said was,
no,
I'm talking about the stuff
I'm just
you've
gonna
done.
keep talking. I'm gonna keep talking because you keep talking when I talk. So la 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 la. Go ahead, try to talk.
I'm defending you and you don't even know it. That's
You're
what's
not gonna
funny.
talk for the rest of this podcast.
Shut
up!
Oh wait, he's hiding
Shut
behind
up!
I get interrupted
Shut the
most.
fuck up! You just keep talking, and he does the same exact thing.
How
Hey,
the
Clown,
fuck
you
is
are
it
being
exactly
fucking
the same
naive
thing?
as fuck.
You are mad,
You are being
Keemstar.
naive
If
as
you,
fuck.
Keemstar,
And the reason why it's the same.
No, Keemstar, shut up,
I'm gonna
right?
let you
Shut
talk.
up.
They actually just despised each other, and it made for such good content. It was just the most mean arguing of all time, and it's just entertaining. I mean, they used to butt heads constantly, and it's even when they'd have the guests on, they'd be arguing with like Leafy is here, and they'd be shouting at each other. It's crazy. That's why it's an S tier, and it deserves that S tier. And this is a good time, I suppose, to talk about LOLCow Live, Keemstar's new podcast, which, oh, I have a lot to say. So Keemstar has a podcast with Boogie and Wings of Redemption called LOLCows, and they're meant to be the LOLCows, and he's meant to be like the ringmaster. And then there's other ringmasters as well that step in for Keemstar, but it just seems like Keemstar is the only ringmaster right now, even though he's like, no, this is not my podcast. It's a whole weird thing. But Boogie having a breakdown on this podcast is gold. Whatever, I'm sorry to say, I don't like the man Keemstar as a person, but whatever he touches turns to pure blood gold.
Go off, Queen. Go off, Queen.
I'm not interested. Just let me get through it, Dan.
You got
Matt,
this.
Shut the fuck up! Let me get through it, motherfucker!
Why don't you say what you want to say about the situation?
I want to die. That's
my God.
what I say over and over and over again. I hate being alive. I hate being alive. I hate breathing. I hate being alive. I'm in tremendous pain. I'm in tremendous pain. Help me, help me, help me. I'm in so much pain. I'm in so much pain. I'm in so much pain.
All right. Well then, okay. Let's get off the
What else
internet.
do you-
Let's just get off.
What do you want me to talk about instead? What do you want me to talk about
No,
instead?
I'm not. This goes back to like last night. You're not mentally fit to be on the show. It's
No,
irresponsible.
what did you want to talk about? Anything but the abuse.
The LOLCow Live podcast had like a 2-week run where I was glued. I don't watch it anymore because it's kind of calmed down. But Boogie was just losing his mind, and it was funny because he kind of deserved it. But it can't be S tier because it had like 2 good weeks. So I'm gonna have to put a B tier with Misfits, to be honest, just to be real with you. Let's just get this True Geordie podcast out of the way. Only thing I really know about True Geordie is that he likes poo. He likes to eat poo in a sexual, intimate way, which there's nothing wrong with. You can eat what you want, but I'm pretty sure it's illegal, Geordie. He's kind of just a massive dickhead, and I don't like the man. And I don't want to be near him with his little poo breath. So I'm gonna go, oh fuck, God no. Cold ones with anything for views and max mofo. Now this podcast doesn't really exist anymore. They switched from podcasts to just videos because they weren't getting the guests. So now when a guest comes in, they just do like a video. See, I don't know how to rank it because on podcasts it's not the best because they barely have any episodes. Their videos are genuinely some of the most high quality and best videos on the platform. But I can't rank them on the videos because this needs to stay as a podcast tier list only, and I'm serious about the ranking. So I'm gonna have to rate them on the podcasts alone, and there isn't that many of them, to be honest. So I'm gonna go D. Sorry, loved the show, but the podcast, sorry. Let's do Tastebuds next. What do you think about that, Sal? He's shivering in his timbers over there. So Tastebuds is Sal Vacano and Joe DeRosa, and a comedian, and they debate food. And that sounds boring. That sounds like a debate podcast about food. That's so dumb. They get so into these debates.
Go back to the invention of the...
you know what?
Look! Right there! Toasted bread, cheese, and ham! That's how it was invented!
By Monsieur Croquet in 1910, you dick.
Yeah! That's how it was invented!
You, what are you doing? What are you doing?
You're red!
The grilled cheese. You can argue
You're the color of jelly!
You can argue the grilled cheese. The grilled cheese is good enough to argue it on its own. Why are you bringing ham and turkey into this? You're ruining the whole argument.
I'm
Listen
not.
to me. Just the way you said, you got this cheese, you got that cheese, you got
So
that
can I
cheese.
put pickles
That's
on
what
it?
you do with the jelly.
Can I put pickles on it?
F you?
Can I put pickles on it?
No.
On the side?
No.
A nice
stupid
pickle.
asshole. You're a stupid dumb asshole. You stupid dumb asshole.
You can.
You make no sense. It's maddening. You name different cheeses. Then you tell me I can't name different jellies.
You name
peanut butter and jelly. I said the word jelly. Jelly means whatever jelly
all right,
you want to put on it.
I name different cheeses. You name different jellies.
I'm going to peanut butter and jelly and then turkey. 1910. Monsieur Croquet.
I will tell you this. I will tell you this.
You gotta stick to the plan.
You gotta stay on the mic. Do you understand
I'm screaming.
how the microphones work? Do you understand?
God, grilled cheese. You know what I love about it? Turkey. No, it's a grilled cheese. Melt the
Listen
choose
to
any
me.
cheese
All
you want.
right already. All right. Listen to me. Listen to me. You can. I'll stick with the change up of the cheeses. Okay.
2002 survey.
They take it to heart, and it's just another situation. They just scream at each other and call each other names. Not nearly as bad as baited, but it kind of has the same baited remnants where it's just people who don't like each other. Like they do like each other, but they just get very into the debates, and it just goes off the rails in a very entertaining way. So this is gonna have to go A tier because it's a pretty good podcast. Give it a watch. It's actually on hiatus now. Pretty sure it's over, but I mean there's a big backlog that I recommend. It's not very known, so I just thought I'd put it in there to give some promo. Now Impaulsive gets crazy guests, and I don't know how. The show is bland. Logan Paul is kind of an insufferable human being. I don't like him. He's just hard to listen to. He loves himself a bit too much, and it's just a very basic podcast. So I'm gonna go E, because they do get cool guests and it's not bad, but Logan Paul just really annoys me. EarBiscuit, now I haven't listened to a lot of EarBiscuit over the years. I've probably just listened to 2 episodes at most. Rhett and Link are funny though. I do like them, but I just don't know, to be honest. I don't know. I'm gonna just put them C, because that seems like it's right. Brain Leak, this is a weird one because Jacksepticeye is extremely popular. Everything he's in gets millions of views except this podcast. I don't know why. It's with Cranked Games, who I don't really know. I've never watched the Cranked Games video. Eaton Nestor, I think his name is. The podcast is pretty bad, to be honest. Love Jacksepticeye. Love the man. Irish all the way. It's gonna have to go with EarBiscuit because I don't know how they can make a podcast that bad, but they've gone ahead and done it. I don't like it. It's boring. Sorry. Caleb Hammer is a financial podcast where he goes over people's finances with them, but again, with the running theme of podcasts I like, he's just overly mean to them and they get into arguments. He's just so mean, and the thumbnails are crazy. His meanness is crazy, and it's entertaining. Listen, at the end of the day, he does give them a lot of resources to help with their finances, and he does help them and genuinely cares. He's just kind of mean.
Well, dude, you're blowing all your money when you don't have money. You can't take care of your own life. You start your checking accounts with nothing. You refuse to get a job that will accept you, like the Whataburger job that did accept you, and then you decided not to do it.
Well, I had a reason. I mean, in my head, I had a reason.
But you could have gone back and got it. They're always hiring.
Maybe.
Dude, there are people with felonies working in fast food. I promise you could do it with a misdemeanor B.
Yeah.
They're desperate to hire right now. If any industry is desperate to hire, it is service.
And how long do you think I'm going to last there?
What does that mean? In terms of get fired or you existing?
Yeah, until I raise an issue and then...
Well, if you decide to be a big boy and take care of yourself, you'll last there for a while.
Maybe.
What is maybe?
I just know somebody's going to be like, oh, you think you're a smart kid. And I am. I have a degree in information systems. So if I see a way to improve something, I'm going to suggest it. And
Why
then
they're going to have this degree in information systems and no one cares? We don't care.
What did I spend that time on, man? What did I do? Why do I have a degree in information systems if nobody cares?
We don't. No, we don't care. We don't.
Should I go back to Texas Tech and just give it back to my professors? Be like, nobody gives a shit.
And listen, it's a great show. I like the meanness. Don't stop the meanness. But it's going high B because it's a finance show. Like, you can't be putting a finance show in A. Be real. The TheNeedleDrop podcast. Don't know. I've never listened to it and I never will. Check up with DR.Mike. Obviously, he's a doctor. He has some interesting guests and they have some interesting stuff to say. I like the podcast, but it's more of like an information, like health podcast. And I mean, that can't be that entertaining. So if you're looking into getting a hold of your health, I would listen to this. But I mean, the entertainment value isn't really that high, to be honest. Like, it's not that entertaining, to be honest. The Yard, this is controversial. I don't know why. The Yard seems like it's suited for me. It seems like it's made in a lab to be as likable to me as possible, but I don't know. I don't like it that much, so it's gonna go a C. I should be the target demographic for this podcast, but I just don't like it. Linus Tech Tips, the Wan Show. This is kind of more of a educational podcast as well. They talk tech.
Like, I'm not gonna deny that I dropped my fair share of hard R's back then because we didn't even the term hard R didn't even exist. We didn't think about it, right? And it's funny because to me, that doesn't feel like that.
Are you talking like N-word hard R?
What? No.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that's how people use that term.
No.
I think
that's
so.
That's the N-word.
But I can't put it higher than D as well because, I mean, it's an information-based podcast. Like, what am I going to do? What do you want me to do? Like, Jesus. Fear and podcast. Now, this is crazy what I'm about to say because it's a very popular podcast, but I don't understand Hassan Abi being entertaining. He seems like a nice guy. I don't care about his politics. I don't care about that. But he's just like a digestive biscuit. Yeah, that's the personality he has. It's a digestive biscuit, and I don't understand how anyone can be entertained by him, to be honest. Whine about it. This isn't my demographic, so I'm going to leave it alone at D tier. I don't want to cause any problems. Healthy Gamer. Now, this is a mental health podcast. A psychiatrist whose name is Dr. K, and it's basically he interviews content creators about their mental health struggles, which kind of sounds a bit iffy, but you can tell this man cares. He really does care, and it's a really good, entertaining and informative watch. He makes videos as well for mental health, but the main podcast bit is interviewing the content creators, and every creator has went on this podcast. You can check anyone they went on. It's a charity, there's resources you can get help with. It's a really good organization, and I think Dr. K has done amazing with it, genuinely. So I can't put it low after saying that. So I'm gonna put it mid B, because it's very cool. Mizkiff's Just Chatting podcast. A lot of people think Mizkiff is very annoying. I like him, to be honest. I like the guy. Podcast out. God, he's not good at that. Yeah, he's not good at that. Listen, there's only a few episodes. He's only starting off. It can be entertaining, but I've listened to a few episodes and he doesn't adapt to the podcast format as well as others, I'd say. So I'll give it a C. It's definitely above Brain Leak. Joe Rogan, this is the only non-YouTuber podcast here. I don't agree with a lot of Joe Rogan's opinions, but god damn is he talented at his job. He's a good interviewer and he's a good conversationalist. His podcasts are really entertaining to listen to if he's not spreading misinformation.
In the eyes of the law is worth more.
How strange is it that we put like a monetary value on actual life itself? Wow, it's just such a strange concept.
Yeah.
Did you see that guy accidentally hit that moose with his car?
No.
Holy shit. Jamie, pull that video up.
Oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god.
B, middle B. Tiny Meat Gang, this is a bad time for them. Noel and Cody Co podcast. Very funny podcast. They're both entertaining, but it's recently disbanded as Cody Co has done some bad things. Here's a video on it if you want to watch. Shameless plug. But now that Cody's out of the picture, Noel has changed it into like a high budget experience, I'd call it, where he interviews different people in different locations. There's only 3 episodes without Cody, but they're all like very high budget, well executed, and I think the direction for the show could be genuinely very good. So right now as we stand, it's an A. That could definitely go down as the podcast goes on, because it is only fresh that Cody's out now, so it could go down with time, but right now it's an A. H3 podcast. I like H3. It's controversial to say these days, but I like H3 still, and his podcast is probably one of the highest production value podcasts there is. So he does 4 episodes a week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and they're all 3.5 hours long. That is over 14 hours of content a week, which is basically unheard of on YouTube. He has a full production cast, a full studio, and it's a high quality production. Obviously there's gonna be a lot of downtime because of how much content he's producing. No one does it like him. No one produces that much content, and I think that stands for a lot, because he produces an insane amount of content without the quality being absolutely terrible. The podcast is good. There's a lot of segments I don't like, but there's just so much like content produced in a week that I will watch some of the content. Obviously, you can't watch it all with the amount of podcast he produces, but I'll tune in every now and again if they're live. I might tune in, and it's never dull time, except for when it is sometimes. So I'm gonna have to put that top of A tier because the quality and the consistency is unseen in the YouTube context. Now we're finally on to the last podcast, Chuckle Sandwhich, Ted Division and Jonathan Schlatt. This is probably my favorite podcast, and I think we already know where it's going after I said that. It's definitely S tier. Only recently has it became my favorite podcast. Slimesicle is not my favorite in a podcast setting, and I think it's gotten a lot better without him. And the addition of Ted's friend Tucker being like the producer and making the content of the podcast more engaging and fun has really helped the podcast a lot. They have something to do every episode, and they seem like they're more locked in and more energetic about the podcast now that there's like set goal. They do one a week now, which that's unheard of because it used to be the most inconsistent podcast ever. But over the last maybe half year, they've really upped the quality of the podcast. Tucker has been a great addition, genuinely, and the content the output consistency and the level of content has increased so drastically, making it my favorite podcast and an S tier. I literally just recorded a podcast myself. This has been going on for ages. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye bye.